Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined by Ambassador Ahmed Shehu. He is the chairman of the Northeast Civil Society Network. Ambassador, thank you so much for talking to us on the news.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Nigeria's northeast region has witnessed over a decade of insurgency, hence the need for continuous humanitarian assistance in the region. Now, what has been the remedial intervention so far, and how impacting are these interventions, most especially for the victims of insurgency, most especially in that part of the country?
Okay, thank you for this very great opportunity. I want to start by taking us back to memory lane about the root cause of the conflict. As we all know, what causes the conflict is lack of opportunities, misgovernance, and then youth that are not being given the platform that they needed to. So as time after 13 years of this conflict, now is the same youth that are now tried that brought the feast that we are now enjoying in the region. And you see, I just cited by one of the our participant, Ummi, a community that has been ravaged for 13 years. It will really take a time for it to be built off now. But credit must be given to some critical stakeholders who played the role, especially the youth who now brought the feast by engaging in the civilian JTF, and also the government and then the international UN agencies and other stakeholders who have played a role toward ensuring that Nigeria, especially Northeast, pick up the pieces of their life by, as of last count, about 200 international organizations are there providing aid in that aspect. So coupled with that, when you look at it, you will understand that the situation is now becoming a bit normal. The communities that have been displaced are now being returned to their communities. The internally displaced camp that exists now, all of them were closed, and people are going back to their communities. Though it's not yet Uhuru, because if they go back to their communities, also there is challenges of picking up the means of livelihood. Because considering that 70% of the population are farmers, and now for them to go to farm, meaning there are perimeters that have been defined by security agencies that for their safety and for the safety of the security actors, they are not allowed to pass certain kind of a has really become an issue. Tall growing crop like maize and others have been banned from production in some instances. Having said that, also now schools have been built, people have been going back to school. Some of these schools will be relocated to safer zones and so on and so forth. So I think there are a lot of progress that have been made by a lot of stakeholders, and even the security actors. Majority of them have lost their lives. We are defending their countries and ensuring that the peace that we have eluded us is now coming back to the region.
You've talked about international organizations providing funds towards this cause, and the fact that 70% of these category of people are farmers. But then let's also look at the key initiatives or projects that you believe that if additional funds come in to the civil society organizations and of course NGOs, it will help undertake some specific kind of programs that would help the northeastern region develop and of course alleviate the humanitarian situation. So what are those key areas that you believe that if interventions come in those areas, it will accelerate the progress or rehabilitation course that we're hoping for?
Okay, I think thank you. That's a very great question that our community has also factor on that. In these 13 years of this insurgency and then the intervention, a lot of lessons were learned, considering that a lot of trial and errors has happened in the process. What is currently required as a region, because the larger population of the people there are youth, and we know that the root causes of the problem is because the youth were not given opportunities. And now you have some youth who grow up within these 13 years and they are now found themselves as a youth. And now there are even emergencies of some youth gang and others. That's telling you that there is urgent need for means of livelihood. So coming back to your question is, for us to address this problem, what is currently required, if there are funding and support, is community engagement, where the communities will be involved in identifying their needs according to their expectation. For instance, if you have a group of people, they need a means of livelihood. The youth need a kind of not only education, they also need a kind of a vocational education where they can be able to